Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today we have some new update patch notes to go over. This is a very small update, in fact the smallest one I've ever seen I believe, but it's most likely just to clear up a couple of bugs before DICE push on with Season 6. However, one of the biggest changes here seems to correlate directly with the stream sniping that Ash has been forced to endure, so that's kind of an interesting piece to look at there, and it also sounds like DICE are gearing up to drop that juicy Season 6 information sooner rather than later. As always though, before we get started, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. I would appreciate that very much. We are working our way towards 48,000 subscribers, so any support you guys can give me there is, as always, very much appreciated. Okay, so at the beginning of these patch notes, DICE says the following. Next week, we will be rolling out a small quality of life update to address some immediate issues that have been brought to our attention following update 5.2. It has been a blast witnessing your reactions to Hourglass as you got to grips with new routes to take on our final reworked location. While we cannot share details with you today, we'd encourage you to keep your eyes peeled on our social channels next week for a look towards what is over the horizon. And then to add to that, community manager Kevin Johnson also tweeted out saying, make sure you keep your eyes peeled for further news on what's over the horizon, we hear you asking. So we now only have 2 weeks left on Season 5, which means that next week we should be getting the release trailer and most of the information on Season 6. The week after that, there will most likely be some videos released by content creators who got invited to a capture event, and later on in that week, they will then give us the update patch notes. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but that is pretty much the way that DICE have done this with the previous seasons. So I am very interested to see what DICE have cooked up for us here. I'm not really going to hold my breath in terms of quantity. I, for one, will be extremely surprised if we see more than one map. I'll be extremely surprised if we even see a new vehicle. I'm basically expecting a Season 5 amount of content, if not less here. And I think the fact that, if you recall, they originally announced that there would simply be, quote, more content, and then they informed us that what that actually meant was we were getting a Season 6, was because they weren't actually sure if the content they had was enough for a full Season 6. However, Ryan MacArthur and the CMs have been drumming up hype for this season, claiming that we will all be very surprised by it. I'm guessing that that's more to do with the setting of the map rather than, you know, like, here's 4 maps instead of 1, surprise! Which would actually be a surprise and awesome, but nevertheless, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what's been cooking. Alright, let's move on to the changes of this update here, shall we? So firstly, they've improved scenarios that resulted in players receiving explosive damage through walls. I actually made a video on this not too long ago, and the bug was that if you had smoke down, you could damage enemies through walls with explosives, and basically the smoke was deleting the collision that the wall would normally have in place, which is obviously, you know, pretty game-breaking. Apparently they've improved scenarios like that according to these notes, but it sounds like it could still happen the way they're wording it here, but let's keep our fingers crossed that it won't. Next up, they've fixed an exploit that caused players to keep downed players in a being revived state. Now this is a direct change in response to the stream sniping that Ash, a Battlefield 2042 Twitch streamer, had to suffer. A lot of people made videos and talked about this, me included, and this, as you can see here, is one of the exploits that they would use in an attempt to aggravate him, keeping him in a perpetual cycle of life and death. So good to see that that'll no longer be possible, but it would be even better to see DICE kick the idiots responsible for abusing it. Next up, Dozer's shield bash range has been lowered again by 16% this time, so this is the second time since the big Dozer buffs and the beginning of the Dozening that we see his shield bash range get a nerf. Thank you to Ghostgaming for confirming that this was indeed a second nerf, and according to him, Dozer is still capable of bashing through barricades, so I assume he's talking about the Irish gadget here, and a 10 to 15% reduction should fix that issue. So that could certainly explain why DICE went ahead on this second nerf. And finally here, they have reduced the horizontal recoil pull on the K30. So as I informed you guys previously, I would stay away from the K30 due to its insane left recoil. Turns out that actually wasn't a bug, but most likely a miscalculated input during the rebalancing of the SMGs that resulted in it having way too much horizontal recoil to the left. So that has now been fixed, and once this patch drops, you should be able to use that weapon again. Now, as for a release date, DICE have only told us that this will be next week. Patch day is usually on a Tuesday, so that's what I would expect, and I would then expect the Season 6 trailer to be dropping on the Thursday or possibly the Friday. That's my prediction, of course, but I guess we'll see. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think we're going to see in Season 6 that'll surprise us all. Also, what do you think about a Season 7 and beyond? Is that in the works, or is Season 6 going to be the end of live content for Battlefield 2042? Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, guys, subscribe for more Battlefield content, and a special thank you to all my members for their support, of course. Have a good one, guys, and I will see you in the next video.